He's the son of a carpenter. Mary carried the light. This must be Christmas, must be night. Must be night. Must be night.
Well, Merry Christmas, everybody. It's always nice to come and celebrate this time of year and come together and connect and share and just be a part of a connection and a spiritual community. And came across a story this week as little kids were listening to, on the 12th day of Christmas, My True Love Gave to Me. You know that one? You guys know that, yeah? Little Billy, about 5 years old, looked over at his mom and says, her true love sure gave her some weird presents. I know. And I got informed of something about the wise men today. I got corrected about some things. If the three wise men had been women, they would have arrived on time, cleaned the stables, and brought practical gifts. Oh boy, I love Christmas time. I have to be honest though, I have a bit of a love-hate relationship over my history, and I'll tell a little bit more about that as I go into it. But I have a lot of memories of different Christmases, and some of them are wonderful, and some of them were, kind of not as wonderful. But there was Ma was saying to Pa, I don't think the neighbors really liked the drums that we got Johnny for Christmas. And Pa says, well, why? Why would you say that? And he says, well, they gave him a knife and asked him if he knew what was inside of them. Oh, boy. I want to read to you from Luke chapter 2, starting with verse 10. And the angel said unto them, fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which shall be to all the people. For unto you this is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign unto you. You shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host, praising God and saying, glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward all. I love this season, and even just reading that, for me, has a lot of, there's a lot of feeling in that for me, and there's a lot of energy around it. And I know it's not necessarily a tradition that everyone shared and celebrated as they were growing up, but it's one that I had a lot of experience with growing up. And I have a lot of Christmas thoughts and ideas and things that come to me when I think about Christmas. And I came across this story that kind of reminded me of some of my past Christmases. As I said, sometimes I had a love-hate relationship with Christmas, and I came across this story of Dolly, who asked her mom on Christmas Eve, is it too late to ask Santa to bring me a baby sister? So over the years, as I said, I've loved Christmas at times, and times I just, was like, okay, I had mixed feelings about it, perhaps. Maybe it all started when I was little and didn't get that Shetland pony that I wanted for Christmas. Or maybe it was the year I wanted a racetrack, and on Christmas Eve, I saw an advertisement for a amazing, expensive robot that I really wanted, and was really disappointed when I got a racetrack on Christmas. Can you imagine? And I really didn't understand why my parents were so frustrated with me. Because I knew Santa would, of course, bring me what I wanted.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, but then there were times, that I really had some wonderful experiences with Christmas, and one of my favorite memories was one in my college years in Christmas, and it was a pretty special Christmas for myself and my family. It was a year that all of us were flat broke, and there was absolutely no way we're going to buy any Christmas presents for each other. And so what we decided to do was make a Christmas present for each other. And one of the things that I did was I actually recorded some of the songs that I had written onto cassette tapes and gave them to my family for Christmas. And some of my brothers and sisters say they still have those cassette tapes and they still play them. And I listened to one the other day, and it sounds like songs that a 20-year-old would write, and it's all right. It was fun. It was fun, Kind of go, okay, yeah, that was sweet. But it means a lot. It meant a lot to them, obviously. And one of the things that I remember about that particular Christmas that is still very special to me and a very special memory to me was that Christmas, after everyone had unwrapped all of their presents that they'd made for everyone, and someone said, well, I guess that's all the presents. And I said, no, there's one more. And I went back into my bedroom, and I came back out of my bedroom, and I was in my 20s at the time. I don't remember, college, I think. And I went back in there, and I got my last pack of cigarettes. And I came back in, and I tossed my last pack of cigarettes to my dad. And he looked at him and said, well, I don't want that. And I still very much remember the tear in his eye when I said, no, Dad, you don't understand. That's my last pack. Because my dad had for many years been trying to get me to quit smoking. And that's still one of the most memorable gifts that I ever gave to him and to myself. And I still can feel the tears when I think about that, and I can still remember the beauty of that experience and that being willing to make a change for something and someone that meant something to somebody. It's really special. So when I think about Christmas, there's a lot of emotional energy a lot of times for me about Christmas and different experiences that have gone through in life. I know many of you probably have had the same things. Some of you have had probably wonderful times during this season, and some of you have had very challenging times during this season. Many have lost very loving people in their lives in this season. And so there's a lot of up and down at times for people during this season. And I think it's valuable for us to really notice and pay attention and honor those, and to really honor them in an honest way, and to really be clear that, not everybody always is feeling cheerful and joyful all the time. Can you imagine that at Christmas time, not feeling very cheerful and joyful all the time? But I think we all have the opportunity. We have the opportunity to shift and to think about what's really valuable and worthwhile in our lives, and to notice what's really good for us. I thought about what I wanted to title my lesson for this week, and I decided, it just kept coming to me, the title was Noel. And I also knew that we were going to show the movie Noel at our spiritual cinema, which is a wonderful, very heartfelt, touching movie. If you've never seen that one, I encourage you. It's Susan Sarandon, and it actually has a number of Alan Arkin and some wonderful stars in it. Just a very touching story. We had quite a nice group there last night that really got to share that. But I got to thinking about Noel. What does that word Noel mean? And I looked it up and realized that it comes from a French word, which really literally, it comes from a French word that actually comes from a Greek word that means birth. And I really kind of reflected on that a while, and I realized that that's really not only the birth of Jesus that this is about, but really is about birth of a new awareness and a new energy. This is also a time of the winter solstice. You guys are probably aware that a lot of the celebration that we do really came out of a celebration of the winter solstice. It's a celebration of the longest night of the year here on earth, and it's still in darkness, and we're preparing for the return and the passage once again of the sun and bringing it back into its fullness. And so that infant light flickers just beyond the horizon, waiting for renewal and for strength and power to come back, and for us to live in this wheel that turns through slumber and death into a blaze of light and life. And on this night and the night of the solstice, our ancestors could really be hopeful that they're going to be coming back into a place of warmth and light. It's a wonderful symbolism to really think about and consider during this time. You know, every major religion in the world celebrates this in some form, in some way. Are you aware of that? Whether they celebrate Christmas or not, they celebrate the returning of light into the world. And to me, that's one of the most wonderful and significant times and awarenesses and messages for us to notice and pay attention to. Dr. Ernest Holmes, the founder of what was known as religious science, and many of their groups now are called Centers for Spiritual Living, and a wonderful metaphysical teacher, a contemporary of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore during that time. Christmas is the most glorious tradition on the face of the earth, the sweetest story ever told, but it must be brought to earth. We must see that it is a part of our everyday living and that the Christ Spirit is continually being born in us. I love that awareness and understanding, and that really reflects back to me this understanding of that light also, that really this time is about bringing forth light. It's actually about giving birth, but it's really giving birth to that awareness of the divine within ourselves, to that beautiful light that is always there for us and always available. And as I contemplated this, I came across this wonderful story from Glenn Van Eckeren. One very special Christmas day, little Amy unwrapped a beautiful golden-haired doll given to her by her grandmother. "It's such a pretty doll," she says, and she was squealed with excitement and hugging her doll. And she said, "Oh, thank you, Grandma." And Amy played with her doll most of the day. And at one point, she put down the beautiful golden-haired doll, and she went and she dug out and found in her room a tattered, dilapidated old doll, and she came out and brought it in her arms and was holding it and hugging it and stroking its hair, and its hair had come out, and the nose was broken, and the eyes were, eye was gone, and one of the arms and legs were missing. And well, said Grandma, "it looks as though you like that dolly the best." And the little girl says, "Well, I like the beautiful doll you gave me, Grandma, but I love this old doll the most because if I didn't love her, who would?" So if you think about that story, I invite you to be aware of not only being this little girl, but also being the doll. Has there been somebody in your life at a time when you felt broken and your arms were missing and your hair was worn out and anybody ever, you know what I'm talking about? Anybody ever experienced that in life? And who came along and loved you? Someone came along and loved you. And really, that's a big part of what this message is about also, that regardless of all of the things that we hold about ourselves, the incompleteness, the places that we feel like we may be broken in some way or worn out or whatever, there is this presence and this power and this light within us that is always expressing love to us and for us and through us. And if we get nothing else out of Christmas, if we can just really remember that one piece, then we will have been celebrating, we would really have celebrated Christmas, wouldn't we? Yeah. I love that. That's a wonderful story, and it really is a wonderful message to remember that there's something great in remembering the truth of who and what we are and sharing that awareness, not only with ourselves, but with each other in this time. Not just in this time, of course. It's not just about a time, is it? That's one of the challenges I guess I have with Christmas, is that we tend to think it's a time. It's not a time, it's an awareness, isn't it? It's something that we are always invited to be a part of and to celebrate. Mother Teresa of Calcutta says, "It is Christmas every time you let God love others through you. Yes, it's Christmas every time you smile at your brother and offer him your hand. It's Christmas time anytime we allow that act of the divine, that Christ light, to come through in some form, in some way. Catherine Ponder says, regardless of how you deal with your particular situation in life, take time to visit with that Christ in you. This can be your greatest Christmas gift to yourself and to others. And as it opens the way for harmony, abundance, joy, energy, and peace. I love that. And I reflected on all of the symbolism of Christmas. And one of the symbols that I love about Christmas is the Christmas star. The Christmas star is, to me, just, and I actually came across and remembered a quote from A Course in Miracles. A star, a light in darkness, is the sign of Christmas. See it not outside yourself, but shining in the heaven within. And accept it as the sign the time of Christ has come. This Christmas, give the Holy Spirit everything that would hurt you. Let yourself be healed completely that you may join with him in healing. And let us celebrate our release together by releasing everyone with us. The Prince of Peace was born to reestablish the condition of love. Let no despair darken the joy of Christmas, for the time of Christ is meaningless apart from joy. So the star to me represents that light of healing, of forgiveness, of love, of peace, of joy. The birth of Christ is a symbol for the emerging and awakening of a new energy, a new level of awareness and consciousness in the world. And the birth of awakening is not merely an event that happened thousands of years ago or that we celebrate every year, but it is an event that is continually unfolding, and that energy of God in man and the possibility of hope, of peace on earth for all humankind, that's what's really born at Christmas, isn't it? I had an inspiration this week from a place that I don't often get inspiration, but I'm not a Catholic, but I really was inspired by Pope Francis this week.
Yes.
And I came across a couple of writings, and I came across one that I have to be honest, I posted out on Facebook, but I do want you to be aware that it is actually a satire, but boy, it was so beautiful that I posted it anyway because I liked it. But I did also know that he said some amazing and wonderful things. And I want to share with you some things that he actually did say. This is from the Catholic Herald. It says, Pope Francis has strongly condemned anti-Semitism while addressing a delegation of the Jewish Simon Wiesenthal Center yesterday in Rome. Pope Francis stressed the need to fight all forms of racism, intolerance, and anti-Semitism while preserving the memory of the Holocaust and promoting mutual understanding through training and social commitment. In particular, the Pope said, the problem of intolerance should be dealt with as a whole. Every time a minority is persecuted or marginalized because of religious beliefs or ethnicity, the good of the whole society is in danger. Sadly, I'm thinking of the suffering, of course, in marginalization, real persecution, and some Christians are experiencing in different parts of the world, naturally. But he says, we should all feel involved. Let us join forces to promote a culture of encounter, respect, understanding, and mutual forgiveness. You know, I really do admire and respect that. And I have to say that this is a leader that I think is really helping to begin to shift awarenesses, not only I think really throughout the world, if you think about it. If the followers of really listen to what is really being presented here, there's a light that's trying to be presented of love and acceptance, of peace, and I think it's a valuable gift. And it's a sign to me that there is an awakening that's happening in our world. So Christmas is about the act and the experience also of giving and receiving not just presents, but presence. Presence is the fact or condition of being present. So the question, of course, is what are you being present to? What do you find ourselves being present to? And I had to ask myself that question. Well, what am I being present to? You know, and I had an experience where I was focusing on a person in a crowd of people, and this person was looking at a screen and an iPad or something, and I was totally oblivious to the people. That person was oblivious to the people around them, and I thought to myself, you know, they're missing a great opportunity to connect with those people around them. And I had some judgments about that. Not that anybody else had any judgments, right? But yeah, I was noticing, of course, that. But then I quickly realized that sometimes I do that. You know, sometimes I find myself tuning out. Sometimes I find myself not really being present to the people in my life, in my world, people who are right there with me, or just people in general. And then I was also sometimes judgmental, that I focus sometimes on things that I don't like. Anybody ever do that? And I sometimes am saying things to myself about that. And I realized in that moment I had another awareness that I was actually robbing myself of a present. I was robbing myself of a present because I was focusing my awareness and my attention on something that I really didn't want or like, rather than really paying attention to and noticing and appreciating the beauty, the good, what's really the blessings that were present in that moment for me. And every moment that we do that, we have stolen from ourselves. You realize that? The moment that we use our faculty and our creative energy, our creative consciousness, our mind, to focus on judgments and criticisms and what we don't like, we are stealing from ourselves as well as stealing from the world. And what we're stealing is the opportunity to not only see a blessing, but to experience a blessing and to be a blessing. To shift our awareness to the good, to look for and see the light, to look for and see the positive, to look for and feel an energy that is a little bit higher, a little bit more loving, a little bit more accepting, a little bit more possible for connecting in life. Sometimes I know that we go through different challenges during this season, and I came across this from one of my minister friends, actually, that this is one of the things that she shared that she uses around the Christmas time, because I know a lot of people find themselves going through difficulties during holidays, and we somehow believe in our minds that somehow during Christmas you're not supposed to have those, right? We do have that kind of feeling, don't we? That it's all supposed to be love and light and joy, and it can be very beautiful and very wonderful. But it's also important for us to be honest and real with who we are and what's going on in our lives, but be able to see and experience the blessings that are possible in that. There's a song that was written back during the Civil War. Many of you are familiar with this. It's called "I Heard the Bell on Christmas Day." You guys familiar with that old song? It was written in the midst of the Civil War, where during the Battle of Gettysburg, 50,000 were killed or wounded in 3 days. And Longfellow, who had written it, had sustained deep personal losses himself and his family, had lost his wife. And the words have always held strong meaning. "And in despair I bowed my head. There is no peace on earth, I said. For hate is strong and mocks the song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. And then peal the bells more loud and deep. God is not dead, nor doth God sleep. The wrong shall fail, the right prevail, with peace on earth, goodwill to men." Well, this holiday season, what I invite you to do is take some time to be conscious, to practice, to be aware. I invite you during this holiday season to give the gift of your presence. The presence of focus, the presence of focus on the light and the love that's always present, always available, even in the midst of those times and experiences that might seem dark. You, my friends, are here to be the light of the world. God bless you for doing that. Thank you. So take a nice deep breath now as we move into our meditation time. Breathe into the heart space. And as you breathe into that heart space, I imagine now and see in your mind's eye, in the center of your heart, a star shining bright. A beautiful, brilliant, radiant light of hope, of possibility of good, of love, of peace. And in your own heart and mind, imagine and see yourself following that light. See yourself following that light through your days, through the holidays. See yourself following that light. Following that light to that place within you where that beautiful, radiant, loving child is expressing the presence of God. Be open to that and be willing to accept that that is the very essence of your nature, your being. And be willing to release all of the limiting beliefs and thoughts that get in the way of that. The darkness, the fears, the doubts, the limitations. And see and feel that light radiating from your heart and out into the world. And being a light for others to see, to share, to know, and to feel. Bringing light into the dark places in life. In your own heart and mind, be willing to accept being the light in and of and for the world. Thank you, thank you, thank you, blessed light. Breathe that in now. Feel that energy, that hope, that possibility of good and goodwill to all. And so it is. Take a nice deep breath, breathe into that heart space, stretch a little bit, take another nice deep breath, and when you're ready, gently open your eyes.